News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KBNU.
KBNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update. Brought to you by Northern Steel Buildings. Wasatch County Search and Rescue were called out last night on news that someone was trapped in the snow near Heber City. When crews arrived, they found a black SUV several miles up a snowmobile trail near Snake Creek just before 10 p.m. In a Facebook post by Wasatch Search and Rescue, the department said, "Why do people continue to take their SUV up snowmobile trails?" The driver of the SUV was rescued, and their identity was not released. We still have a potent winter storm hanging around, winter storm warning in effect into tonight, into the overnight hours for the northern Utah mountains. And for the Cache Valley tonight, a chance of snow showers, slight chance of thunderstorms this evening, mostly cloudy, low near 20. West winds 10 to 20 miles an hour early this evening. And then a chance of snow showers in the mornings, snow showers likely, slight chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon on Wednesday, mostly cloudy, high temperature in the upper 30s. Still snow showers with this Wednesday night and even into Thursday. And right now, light snow at times. It's 29 degrees at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by U&I Furniture. They're stocked up with a wide inventory, lots of chairs, lots of variety. There's a good chance they have what you're looking for. Always a better buy at U&I, 28 West, 1st North, downtown Logan.
The planet Earth has been rotating around the sun for 4.5 billion years. Since the dawn of man, we have been crafting and refining tools to dig into the Earth's surface.
Me dig. Me dig.
But it wasn't until today that digging could be so much fun.
Me digging this.
Northern Steel Buildings will dig for you. Have them build you a hay barn, shop, warehouse, or if it's time to expand your business with a new facility, they'll move the earth around to make it happen. See their work online at northernsteelbuilding.com.
KBNU News Time is 4:07. Ruby's Pizzeria and Grill may be a new restaurant name, but the owners and menu remain the same. Until recently, the restaurant was known as Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, located on 1400 North at 795 East in Logan. But Thad Willis, who co-owns the restaurant with his brother Tom, along with business partner Andy Daniels, says the franchise kept making changes, so it was time to move in a different direction.
They have proposed changes that Cache Valley has really grown to love for our menu, taking out some of our top sellers and taking off a lot of our appetizers. So my brother and I and our partner decided to just buy the franchise out and be on our own and make sure we keep providing the food and climate and atmosphere that Cache Valley and surrounding areas have grown to love.
Willis says his mom, Ruby, became known as a great entertainer and hostess. Once her husband retired from the Air Force, the couple returned to the Bear Lake Valley, and her home was always the preferred destination for family and friend gatherings, holidays, and fun get-togethers. Ruby passed away last spring, and Willis says his mom likely would not like the restaurant being named after her.
We've added some more specialty pizza.
But Ruby's Pizzeria and Grill officially opened on April 7th. Willis says the changes have been well received so far.
We've added some more specialty pizzas. We have added some different appetizers. We have added 2 more hamburgers and 1 more sandwich. So we are offering more variety, and now we've offered to put a steak option on the menu for the weekends. We sold out the first weekend, so we're going to expand on that. So lots of fun food, and we'll be able to do some more specials.
Willis says the core menu will remain the same, and the restaurant will also maintain its sports theme with 23 televisions mounted throughout the indoor and outdoor dining areas. Right now, 28 degrees, KBNU News Time, 4:09. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Know about it. Talk about it. News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Hi, this is James Stevens with White Pine Funeral Services. At White Pine, we value compassion, integrity, and service. We are committed to serving you and treating your family as our family. We will be here when you need us most, to listen, to help, and to provide exactly what your circumstances require. At White Pine, we promise to dedicate our time and attention to you and your family. We invite you to come by and meet us. We're confident you'll feel a difference.
Summer is just around the corner. Don't crank up your AC unit before getting it serviced. Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning is the team you should call for quality on-time service. If your system needs replaced, think York. York has the best warranties in the business with affordable financing options. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning at 752-7272 or stop by their showroom west of DI. Online at advancedheating-ac.com.
Comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cash Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. Tuesday, April 12th. I'm Jason Williams. Bill Walter here in the studio as well. And Bill, what's with these weather? What are you doing over there in the weather center with these winter storm warnings in April? Sheesh, as the kids say.
All I can say, it's a good thing. It really is.
Yeah.
We need it.
Moist.
The mountains definitely need the snow.
Yeah, it was.
Do we need the snow down here on the valley floor? Probably not, but definitely in the mountains.
It was drying out quickly. I was actually having thoughts of maybe. I know there are some out there, Mark Anderson, who've already tilled their garden. Learned that during a recent garden guide show. But it was dry enough. I was considering it. I was thinking over the weekend, maybe I should. This might be the earliest I've tilled, but maybe I should just get it done. And that's how dry things were. So yeah, it's nice to see. Well, actually, it's kind of shocking to see after we got used to that warm weather there, breaking the coats and hats back out. I saw some people in gloves and snow boots today in April. It's Utah, though. We can see this kind of thing happen into June sometimes. Not often, but
yeah, I've seen June snow.
Yeah, it's
not
unheard of.
Doesn't happen every year, thank goodness, but it's been known to happen.
That's right. It's nice to see, and quite a bit of snow in some areas of the mountains. So we'll have a snowpack update after this, a few days of winter storms here coming up later on in the week. And fingers crossed that at least some big improvements have been made. It was melting off pretty quickly there when I checked in with them last time, the water monitors here in the state. So hopefully this turns things around a bit, but we'll have to wait a few days to get a full report on that because the snow's still coming, at least into this evening, maybe tomorrow morning. So we'll talk about that later on in the week. We'll also be talking about reservoirs later on in the week. We've got an update on potential plans. Again, this is not something that's going to be happening this year or even next, but discussions throughout the state and here in northern Utah about new reservoirs, where they might be located. And there are some really interesting suggestions. That's coming up actually on Friday's show. We'll be talking about that. Candidates. We have a lot of primaries, and I love it. Primaries are healthy. They give people choices. They make incumbents think and stay on their toes at very least. Sometimes they produce change and sending things in a different direction, ousting an incumbent, replacing them with someone new. Either way, I think it's all healthy and good. and we have a lot of them. We have primaries taking place in the two different county council races, southeast and northeast county council seats. And we, of course, have primaries in the House District 3, soon to become 2. Thanks to redistricting, that map, the numbering on the map will change. So it's technically a race for, they're running for the term that will start in January. So they're running for House District 2, but you currently know it as House District 3. Primary playing out there between incumbent in his first term, Mike Peterson, and challenger and former lawmaker of a couple of terms in that seat, Val Potter. There's a Senate primary, state Senate primary, happening between Senator Scott Sandel, the incumbent, and challenger Camille Knudsen, who was a guest on our show a couple of weeks ago. We're going to do our best, and we'll get to them all, but we're churning through them as much as we can. Coming up in a few minutes here on the show, we will speak with Republican United States Senate candidate Ally Isom. She is one of, so guaranteed Republicans will have 3 Republican candidates to choose from for that nomination. The reason it's guaranteed is convention at this point is kind of moot. What delegates decide to do at the convention will not determine who's on the ballot in the primary. Republicans will do what they do, end of April. They'll choose a nominee, or what they're supposed to do, choose a nominee, and then regardless of that outcome, signature gathering by all 3 candidates who have qualified for the ballot, registered Republicans. You will receive a ballot, as Jess Bradfield, county clerk, told us yesterday. They'll start going out June 7th. You'll receive a ballot that will show 3 choices. Republican candidate Mike Lee, Republican candidate Becky Edwards, who we've had on the show before recently as well, and our guest this hour, Republican candidate Ally Isom. So a lot for delegates and registered Republicans to be reviewing ahead of casting those primary ballots in June. And, I'm working on something right now I don't have firm dates yet. It looks like we'll for sure be able to get one of the races in this week, and unfortunately just waiting for one more reply from a candidate to confirm that. But the tentative plan for the county council races, tentative plan at this point is on Thursday's show. You'll be able to hear from the candidates in one race, the Southeast race, which is candidates, both Republicans. Of course, this is a Republican primary. That makes sense. Catherine Buse and Ladd. Whoa. We may have an update here in which I can actually confirm a date. Let's see. Unfortunately, no. Okay, so never mind. So back to what I was saying.
I thought we had some breaking news here.
I saw an email from one of the candidates, and I thought, I might be able to actually announce for sure. No, not yet. They're still working out their schedule. But the tentative plan, again, the invitation that has been sent out, and just waiting for one more reply to confirm. But the tentative plan is this Thursday at 5 o'clock. You'll be able to hear from Catherine Buse and Ladd Kennington, both Republican candidates in the Southeast County Council race, an open seat there. And in the open seat for the Northeast race next Wednesday, you'll be able to hear at the same time, both in studio, you'll be able to hear from Chris Booth, former Cache County Republican chairman, who resigned to run in this race, and resigned that position to run in this race, and Mark Hurd. So that's the tentative plan. This may change, but maybe pencil it on your calendar for registered Republicans out there. These are just 2 of several races you're going to have an opportunity to weigh in on with your primary ballot. And again, we'll speak with United States Senate candidate Republican Ally Isom this hour, coming up after the news at the bottom of the hour. So if you missed, we'd had Becky Edwards on before, working out the details on Senator Mike Lee. He'll join us as a guest sometime between now and that primary date. It's a little tougher with incumbents. They're hampered a bit by the just as all candidates are usually hampered a bit by their day jobs. With incumbents, they of course have Senator Lee has a Senate schedule, And so we have to work around that. But we will be getting him on. We've spoken with Becky Edwards before, and we'll do so again. And today we'll speak for the first time here on the show with Ally Isom. And then we'll try and reach out to all of them again before that June primary to give everybody as much chance as they can to get some exposure. I do want to throw this out quickly, though. For Republican delegates, as I said, what happens at the state convention with the United States Senate race is moot. We know that the primary ballot will include Mike Lee, Ally Isom, and Becky Edwards as Republican candidates vying for that nomination. So that's done at this point. The signatures were submitted and verified by the Lieutenant Governor's Elections Office, and all three have qualified for the primary ballot at this point. We know that. So that's a given. But for delegates out there who want to take advantage of some of the access delegates get to candidates that normal registered voters don't always get, the Isom campaign is hosting a virtual delegate town hall tonight. It's at 7 p.m., so I'm throwing this out a little bit early for those who would be interested. If you are a delegate, and this can be county or state convention, though only state convention delegates will get to weigh in on this race with their ballots at convention. Any delegate can register, and even if you're not a delegate, you can register. But it is a town hall event geared at delegates, but anyone out there who would like to attend a virtual town hall from the Isom campaign where they'll be taking questions from those who register. And that is tonight at 7 p.m., happening virtually. But I've posted a link to the registration link on our Facebook page. You can also visit the Isom campaign, which is Ally, A-L-L-Y, allyforutah.com. Click on the delegate section there, and you'll see that registration link for the virtual town hall tonight. That's at 7 p.m. If you can't make that, well, good for you for being a For the People listener. Again, Ally Isom will be joining us as our guest this hour on the other side of the news at 4:30, so stay tuned for that. We'll be back with more of KVN News For the People, talk a little bit about some hints, at least, of what might be coming down the pike when it comes to water interim sessions and a potential special session dealing with water and water development here in Utah. Some details out today. We'll be back right after this.
April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month and is signified by a blue ribbon. The Family Place Utah is hosting its annual Blue Ribbon Benefit April 30th. All funds received go to their mission of strengthening families and protecting children. Tickets include dinner at the Riverwoods, as well as a live auction. Purchase your tickets at thefamilyplaceutah.org. There's also a virtual option to participate in a separate silent auction, which is free to the public. Mark your calendars for April 30th to attend the Family Place's Blue Ribbon Benefit event as we work together to strengthen families and protect children in our community.
Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology is Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aids. Once again, you'll be able to hear a loved one's laughter and understand conversations. Schedule a free hearing evaluation with Dr. Paul Daines at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. Call 753-4327. That's 753-HEAR. Or visit cachehearing.com.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
I've been driving trucks for a long time. Safety is my #1 priority. I know that my truck has huge blind spots. That's why I remember to check my mirrors often for smaller vehicles. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're behind the wheel, try to avoid lingering in those blind spots. It can be dangerous. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Welcome back to KVN News For the People. Rumors of a legislative special session dealing with water policy. I don't personally think this is likely, just because though the drought itself is probably going to result in a drought emergency declaration, that's a formality really that allows federal aid funds to come to Utah for drought and water-related purposes. So there will be a technical emergency declaration, I'm sure, by the governor at some point this summer. But as far as public policy goes, most of the public policy options and discussions are sort of long-term discussions. So I don't predict personally a special session, but there are rumors of lawmakers convening themselves in a special session, which they have the power to do now, and I don't think we should have given it to them, but we did on the ballot a few years ago. So they may call themselves into special session to deal with some water development money, pointing money in certain directions. Along those lines, the Utah Department of Natural Resources put out a map this week on, and remember, these are potential sites. People are going to lose their minds over this map, but these are potential sites. This doesn't mean they're thinking for sure putting a reservoir there or that any money has been spent to make that start. This is just potential reservoir sites, and they're asking for public input on that. So I've linked to that on our Facebook page if you'd like to go in and review the map and add your 2 cents. They've set up a website for this, and they're just asking people to weigh in, their thoughts on if we put a new reservoir here. Some of them are in Cache Valley, or near, but would feed Cache Valley water-wise. There are 3 potential sites in Cache Valley for small reservoirs that would be new construction, things that don't exist right now. You can check those out. Again, the map is linked on our Facebook page, and the state is asking for public comment on these potential reservoir sites because they want feedback from individuals, families, communities, businesses, and even local elected officials to say, if someone's going to be able to say, well, one of the problems with putting it here is, and how about here instead? And that's what the state is basically looking for, information on this. So check it out. I've linked to the map and the public comment website they've set up on our Facebook page. And again, rumors of a special session to maybe redirect some funds towards this. I don't think that's going to be likely. I think anything reservoir spending to create new reservoirs, I think won't happen until the 2023 legislative session kicks off next January. So along those lines, more legislative news today. Governor Herbert, my brain just went back a few years. Governor Cox.
Who?
Yeah, that guy that was here. Governor Cox and Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson held a ceremonial bill signing event today. It's ceremonial because the bills have already been signed, but they hold the ceremonial event to raise public awareness of the bills being signed, bills that will now go into effect. And Governor Cox signed these. All of them relate in one way or another to mental health and policing reform. Governor Cox made a note during the event today that there have been a lot of controversies during the legislative session. Of course, the biggest that passed in the final few hours without a public hearing or expert testimony, bill to ban transgender youth from sports in Utah. That was done for political reasons. A few senators were headed into tough re-election races in swing districts, and they wanted to get the delegates more behind them. So it was pretty transparent why that was happening. Even the Senate president admitted it was unconstitutional and would fall in court. And it's just politics invading the legislative session sometimes. That got a lot of attention. And so Governor Cox pointed that out today. He said some of these unfortunate events that lawmakers decided to make happen overshadowed some of the great work that they did. And so they wanted to hold this event today to highlight some of that as the governor signed these bills created by lawmakers in the session. What he highlighted, there were lawmakers on hand, by the way, sponsors of these bills. 13 bills were ceremonially signed today. And again, that means they've already been signed by the governor, but they have this event to raise public awareness. One of them was Senator Dan Thatcher's SB 171, which created a state mental health curriculum for K through 12 students in the hopes of avoiding crisis, suicide intervention, things like that. That bill was signed today, and Senator Thatcher was on hand to comment. He said, this will save lives. That's why I wanted to run the bill, and this will create a new mental health curriculum in Utah schools that will, he said, fill some very key gaps in our current mental health care services. House Bill 13 was also signed. This is sponsored by Representative Steve Eliason in the House, and it creates a special license plate that will raise funds, a lot of funds actually, for state suicide prevention efforts. House Bill 226 reworks higher education and as it relates to prison. Lowry Snow, Republican, was the sponsor of this, and it basically expands opportunities for people incarcerated to access higher education and potentially reduce recidivism in Utah. And there were more, but another one to highlight, a bill that changes and basically mandates that police departments publicly report on a regular basis misconduct by officers within the department. That bill was signed today. And there were also other bills on criminal justice reform signed today that the sponsor said were the result of a lot of, quote, hard conversations, bills requiring more data collection by law enforcement and more transparency by law enforcement, including that bill specifically to mandate public disclosure of misconduct, citations or reprimands within police departments. Those bills were signed by the governor today and about 8 others. If you'd like to see them all, I've linked to them on our Facebook page. But we're going to step away to the local headlines now, so we have time on the other side for our guest. Joining us after the news, we have Republican candidate for United States Senate, Ally Isom, will join us on the show here. But first, a look at the local news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time, 4:31. News brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. Area medical professionals are building a new modern medical facility in North Logan. It's going to be at 360 East, 2200 North. Owen Mortensen, a Logan-based artist and art consultant, envisioned some unique art for the entrance of the Three Peaks building. The facility can house up to 14 medical practices. Mortensen solicited the help of Provo mural artist Havoc Hendricks to provide the artwork for the main entrance of the 46,748 square foot three-story building. Mortensen said he was hired to conceive and create art for the massive two-story entry wall. Because the building's namesake, it's inspired by the mountains that surround Cache Valley. Mortensen hired Hendricks, a full-time Provo-based artist, to paint the minimalist mountain mural on a 1,000 square foot wall. Mortensen said that after painting the silhouette of the mountains, Hendricks painted line upon line to create a three-dimensional topographic effect. The Three Peaks Medical Building is scheduled to open this coming June. Congresswoman Liz Cheney's campaign says the third-term Wyoming Republican has raised almost $3 million in campaign contributions over the first 3 months of the midterm election year. Her haul continues a record-breaking fundraising streak as Cheney attempts to defend her seat against Trump-backed challenger Harriet Hageman. Cheney's criticism of Trump has alienated her from many of her colleagues in the U.S. House and the Wyoming Republican Party. They've made her among the most endangered Republican incumbents facing re-election in 2022. They've also allowed her to build a nationwide fundraising network and transform the race for Wyoming's lone U.S. House seat into one of the most closely watched midterm contests. And the Idaho governor and attorney general are seeking to add Idaho to the list of states that have filed a lawsuit to prevent federal officials from ending a public health rule that allows many asylum seekers to be turned away at the southern U.S. border. Governor Brad Little and Republican Attorney General Lawrence Wasden today said they are working to join the lawsuit filed earlier this month by Arizona, Louisiana, and Missouri. The lawsuit challenges the Biden administration's planned May 23rd end to border controls known as Title 42. The order was imposed 2 years ago by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention over coronavirus concerns. KVNU News Time is 4:34.
Have you pulled your spring sheets out of storage, and do they smell stale and need freshening up? How about your blankets and your quilts? Are things dingy from winter use? Well, go to Mount Logan Laundry. It takes no time at all to freshen everything up with their 55 and 80-pound washers and dryers, and it costs a lot less than the dry cleaners, and free Wi-Fi and drop-off service, too. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan, or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South.
KVNU weather tonight. Winter storm warning continues for the mountains and for the Cache Valley. A chance of snow showers, slight chance of thunderstorms this evening. Low near 20. West winds 10 to 20 miles an hour early this evening. Chance of precipitation 30%. Chance of snow showers Wednesday morning. Snow showers likely. Slight chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon tomorrow. Little or no accumulation. High temperature in the upper 30s. We've picked up 2 inches of snow, 3,800 water squeezed out of that snow. 34 has been our high. It's 29 now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology, Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aid technology. Call 753-HEAR, 753-HEAR. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
This is Senior Branch Office Administrator Tony Smith bringing you the daily financial report for April 12th on behalf of Ted Karen and Edward Jones. U.S. equities reversed course late in the day and finished lower as a jump in oil prices reignited inflation worries. This morning's CPI release showed that March inflation rose to the highest since 1981. But the core measure, which excludes food and energy, was not as bad as feared. The 10-year Treasury yield pulled back to 2.72%, weighing on banks, which are scheduled to report first-quarter earnings in the next couple of days. European markets were lower, but Chinese stocks rose amid growing hopes of policy easing to support the economy. After falling to levels yesterday that prevailed before the start of the war in Ukraine, oil prices rebounded strongly today as China is beginning to ease its COVID-19 lockdowns in Shanghai. The Dow closed down 88 points to 34,220. The Nasdaq was down 40 points at 13,372. The S&P was down 15 points at 4,397. In stocks of local interest, Apple closed up $1.91 at $167.66. Nucor closed up $4.44 to $157.24. Amazon closed down $6.69 at $3,015.75. Delta Airlines closed up 41 cents at $38.62, and Walt Disney closed up 19 cents at $130.84. Crude oil was up $6.25 to $154, and the spot price of gold was up $23.60 to $1,971.80. This has been today's financial market report brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIPC, and financial advisor Ted Karen, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term financial advice at 878 South Main Street in Smithfield.
My name is Gloria Nadal, and I chose Roof Rescue. They exceeded my expectations because they were able to follow through with the insurance company, establish a rapport, and ultimately the insurance company took responsibility and paid for my roof to be replaced. The products that they use were top-notch. My roof is beautiful. I would recommend them over and over again. My name is Gloria Nadal, and I encourage you to choose Roof Rescue.
KVNU's For the People. Yesterday on the program, we talked about all of the primaries that are happening from state, house, and Senate races here in northern Utah to the 2 county council seats in which registered Republican voters will have 2 candidates in each race to choose from. At the top of all of this, the top of the ticket, as the political scientists say, we have, of course, the United States Senate race. This is a race that has caught a lot of attention because, well, frankly, there are some big names running, names that have a footprint of their own already in Utah politics, Utah policy circles, and it's generating a lot of excitement. I've said on the show many times, I love primaries. They give voters choices. They make us think. They challenge incumbents at the very least, but oftentimes they also lead to change and things headed in a different direction. One individual hoping to take things in a different direction with one of Utah's 2 United States Senate seats is our guest here on the show right now, candidate for United States Senate, Ally Isom, joining us. And Ally, appreciate taking some time for KVNU today. You've been running for a while now, right? This isn't something that you decided last minute and filed and quickly set up a website. This is also a lot to take off. It's no small commitment to even campaign for United States Senate. So if you can, start us out, tell listeners a little bit about yourself and what made you decide to put your name in this race.
Well, thank you, Jason. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with your listeners today, and I'm grateful for the chance to tell you a little bit more about Ally Isom. I am a native of the western U.S. I moved 13 times growing up, so Utah, Idaho, and Arizona were home to me, but I came here to go to school at BYU. I raised my family here and have been involved in public policy and Utah Republican politics for nearly 30 years. And after I worked in a couple of state agencies, I worked for Governor Gary Herbert as his deputy chief of staff, communications director, and spokesperson. And then I went to work for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in both public affairs and then in a role that was a global branding role for them. And then I went to work in nanotech in the private sector, where I was a business executive for a Utah startup and worked as both chief strategy and marketing officer and then as acting executive for them. So I feel like I'm a candidate who has diverse experience in both the public and private sector. And I'm running because I want to invite Utahns back to the conversation that focuses around the core principles of the Republican Party. I feel like we've gotten away from that. We've been so hyper-focused on things that divide us and on personalities and culture issues. We've forgotten to have meaningful dialogue on public policy based on those principles we hold in common. You know, we're all in this state, in this Republican primary, we're all Republicans. And I'd really like to focus the dialogue back to those things that make us Republicans. I feel like more than ever, those principles are needed in this world. Things like limited government and individual freedom, low taxes, and we all believe that government closest to the people governs best. So those are the things that are driving me. And yes, I've been in the race since last July, and it's been a wonderful experience. I'm really quite honored by so many good Utahns who are coming on board to help support Team Ally.
It's, again, an exciting time, and these primaries for voters out there, one, you must be a registered Republican to cast a vote in this primary. If you are not currently, that deadline has passed, but it's not too late to vote or register for the general, and you can do all of that at vote.utah.gov. As we spoke with Cache County Clerk Jess Bradfield yesterday, these ballots will start going out around June 7th, and primary day is June 28th. Your ballot needs to be postmarked by then or dropped off in person at a drop box or the clerk's office on June 28th. And this time passes a lot more quickly than you think. So take advantage of the accessibility of all of the candidates in every race and get out and get to know them. You can get to know Ally Isom and the campaign for United States Senate at their website, Ally, that's spelled ALLY, allyforutah.com. They're also on Facebook, Instagram, and every social media channel you could find out there. So check them out, but also take an advantage, again, of the accessibility of these primary races, another benefit to having primaries. And, Ally, I know, being a political junkie, someone that's talked about the legislative cycle each year for better part of a decade and a half here, I know your time with Governor Herbert, the administration Governor Herbert and his administration was sort of known as a nice guy administration, but there were times when there were fundamental disagreements between the legislature and the governor's office, budgetary disagreements, specific policy disagreements. And I know you worked as part of a team to navigate some of that. And Herbert left office with a good relationship with the legislature. He wasn't a bomb thrower. Can you talk about that a little bit? How do you, especially where you're representing the governor's team, and then you have this legislature made up of hundreds of lawmakers from different parts of the state. How do you navigate that, and how does that play into what might happen as a United States Senator?
Such a great question. My time in the governor's office was really foundational in shaping how I tackled public policy issues with diverse opinions and stakeholders, because it's so often more about collaboration than it is about compromise on principle. We usually agree on principle, but you have to come together to find answers. And when I was serving my time in the governor's office, my oldest child passed away at age 21 with some significant health issues, and it really transformed me. It changes the way you look at the world, and it makes you impatient to get meaningful work done and real things done. So I have five lenses through which I look at public policy issues to really get to good outcomes. And they really are an outgrowth of my time in the governor's office. And the first prism, or the first lens I use, is people, put a face on it and understand the humans that are affected and what are their stories and what are the data that tell their stories. Number two, principles. What are the principles that guide us to good outcomes? In some policy issues, it's fairness, and in others, it's transparency, and in others, it's low cost. So what are the guiding principles on that particular issue? The third lens I use is public policy. What is durable beyond administrations? It creates uncertainty, which stifles innovation and investment when we have public policy that swings wildly between administrations. Things like executive orders, when a president declares something and the next president undoes that, it's because they're stepping into the void that Congress has created by not doing their job. So that's not a good solution. What we want to create are durable policy solutions that withstand transitions in leadership. The fourth lens I use is process. Have all the stakeholders been at the table? Because sometimes slow is fast. If you bring them into the dialogue now, they could be an ally and an advocate for you rather than a wall you run into later. And then last, politics, that political lens that so many, inadvertently, I think, but are inclined to use first when they're in public service. So for me, people, principle, policy, process, and then the politics. And if I follow that cadence and if I use those five lenses, we get to good outcomes. And that was one of the key takeaways I had from my time in the governor's office, and I found it to also be incredibly relevant and applicable in my time working for the LDS Church and my time working in the private sector. I'm a big believer that's how humans come together and solve problems.
I love that in that list you put politics last. It's obviously a factor in all of this. There are elections, there are political factions that will push and pull policy this way, and that's healthy in its own way. But oftentimes it seems, Ally, especially at the federal level, that brinksmanship, getting that 15 minutes on the cable news, things like that, seem to trump actual policy debates, and the end result seems to be our country is run by presidential executive order, 3 administrations in a row now. It's frustrating to see.
It's so counterproductive. You're absolutely right. The division we have and the brinksmanship is so unhelpful. And it starts to feel, call me skeptical, but it starts to feel like staged political theater, right? It's so self-serving in itself, and it's just not helpful to us as a nation. And we continue doing this. We put off the tough decisions, and I fear we've, in effect, squandered the prosperity that we enjoyed the last 20 years, and now we're facing some really, really difficult decisions that we've got to get real about and put the right things first.
For voters out there, again, the primary ballots will be going out the first part of June for registered Republicans. For Republican delegates, you will have an advance opportunity to cast a vote, as well as a delegate at the state convention coming up at the end of April. And the Isom campaign has a few events, well, many events scheduled. In fact, it looks, Ally, like you'll be traveling much of the state here, but tonight specifically at 7 p.m., a virtual delegate town hall is being hosted by the Isom campaign, and you can register for that on their website. And that is, again, Ally for Utah, ALLY, allyforutah.com, and click on the delegate center there. You'll see a registration link for this 7 to 8 p.m. virtual town hall taking place tonight. After that, you can catch Ally in San Juan County, at Provo on the 15th, and then up here back in the northern Utah part of the state on April 20th in Morgan County, for example, hosted by the Morgan County GOP, a candidate meet and greet event on Wednesday, April 20th. So a lot of opportunities to get out, but take advantage of the virtual town hall tonight if you're a Republican delegate and unsure where your vote's going to go on that convention ballot. There's an opportunity. You can register again at allyforutah.com. Our guest again, candidate for United States Senate as a Republican, Ally Isom. And Ally, as you continue through this race, obviously, as I just mentioned, you're traveling the state from San Juan County to Morgan, Provo, up here in Cache Valley, I know a couple of times. What are you hearing from Utahns?
It's actually the best part of this entire experience for me, Jason, is being in communities with Utahns. And I pledge to walk in every community. We call it our Walk a Mile listening tour, where we're really spending time getting to know the local communities. I've been in 105 communities so far of Utah's 253. When I started, it was 252, but then IRTA incorporated. So we now have 253.
Wow.
And, it allows me to walk with Millie in Woodruff. And, she's a meat goat farmer up there and has a master's in animal husbandry. She's brilliant and articulate, homeschools 3 kids, and talked to me about the challenge of when her child has asthma, having to choose between driving 22 miles to Evanston or 90 minutes into Logan, where her insurance is accepted. And if she goes into Evanston, she's paying 3 times as much. And it's a terrible decision when your child can't breathe. I'm hearing from Val in Laverkin, who has buried 2 sons who've died by suicide and, from an overdose. And that puts a real face on the opioid crisis for me, as well as the suicide challenges we've found and mental health challenges we're finding, especially among our young adults. And, then I've also, last night, it was in Woodland Hills, and they spoke with me about how fire threatened their homes for nearly 2 weeks because it started with a lightning strike on federal land, and they were unable to put that fire out locally because of federal prohibitions, and they need an ally and an advocate to speak up for them. So this time in the communities has put a face on the issue for me, but what I'm hearing in almost every community, water and the needs we have long-term for water storage, water rights, and fighting for every drop that is rightfully Utah's. I'm hearing about the economy, especially inflation, and how that relates to affordable housing, which is a challenge statewide. Many of us are concerned that our children are not going to be able to afford to stay in this state, that they can't afford homes here, and the American dream might be just out of reach for a lot of people. I also hear about things like the morale of law enforcement, healthcare providers, and educators, and what are we saying about these professions that hold our communities together, and how much regard do we have for them? So these issues are the ones that surface, in addition to a number of others. Republican delegates are uniquely focused on some of these principles around limited government, honoring the Constitution and the rule of law, ensuring that government doesn't encroach too far on our rights as a people, and that we preserve those rights. So those are the things I'm hearing about, and it really truly has shaped my policy priorities, which you also can find on my website. We entitled the initiative The Right Things, a compact with Utah and a vision for America. And those principles that have come out of my conversations with Utahns have shaped the things that I will work on first and foremost on behalf of Utah.
Ally, appreciate taking the time for us today, and I know we promised not to take too much of your time, but I do have one last question. This was I invited listeners to send in questions ahead of getting a chance to speak with you today, and we got one question from a person who's actually involved with, county politics in the Cash Republican Party and other things here in northern Utah. And she sent an email and she said, please ask her about the Fighting for the Right Things campaign video. It made me cry. That was the whole message.
Oh, well, I in that video I talk about my daughter's passing. How, in my experience in working with people, that I find people connect at what I call our broken edges, the things that have been hard in life. Everybody has something really hard that we're grappling with or facing or shouldering, have been through. And when we get real with each other and we talk about things that matter, we can make a lot of progress together, I believe, when we're honest and we're truthful with one another about what matters in life. And for me, politicians are too often focused on things that make for great headlines, things that make for great cable TV, but they're not always focused on the things that really matter most in our day-to-day lives. And my hope is to fight for those right things, to be focused on the things that really do matter to everyday Utahns, and to not pick fights just for the sake of making headlines or getting reelected. I have made a pledge to serve 2 terms and come home. And I made that pledge in front of the Utah Capitol with cameras rolling in the bright sunlight of day to just say, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. This is my commitment to you unequivocally, that I want to get in, do my part. I think 12 years is plenty of time, and the incumbent had made that commitment as well. And it's plenty of time to make a difference and then come home and hand the baton to somebody else, because it's time for disruption, and it's time to get back to the basics and focus on what makes this nation strong and gives us the ability to weather hard things that come inevitably to every people and every nation.
Ally, appreciate you sharing that story with us and so much of your time today. It's a pleasure to speak with you, and again, a pleasure to be even a small part of this ongoing primary campaign. They're good for all of us. Listeners out there, again, the Isom campaign is hosting a delegate town hall tonight, a virtual town hall. You can register for that at the Isom campaign website, allyforutah.com. And again, that is ALLY, allyforutah.com. Click on the delegate section there. You'll see a registration link for the event. It starts tonight at 7 p.m., a virtual town hall for delegates. For everyone else out there, people who aren't state delegates, people who are registered Republicans and trying to decide where your vote should go, you can find the Isom campaign at the website I've mentioned and linked to on our own Facebook page. You can also find them on Facebook, Instagram, and more. Our guest, again, has been candidate for United States Senate, Republican Ally Isom. And Ally, really appreciate taking some time for KVNU today, and we'll check in again soon.
Oh, Jason, thank you so much, and thank you for caring about this race and helping inform Utahns. It is really the heart of what makes our Republican move forward. So thank you very much for taking interest and encouraging folks to show up.
Oh,
it's been an honor to spend some time with you.
Our absolute pleasure. And again, we'll do it again soon. Thank you again, Ally. And for listeners, thank you for your time as well. Please stay tuned. We'll be back with more For the People right after this.
My name is Dr. Brandon Prevey, and I love being a dentist. I work with Drs. Curtis Taylor, Anthony Larson, and Paul Harris. When people ask where our office is, I actually have 2 answers. First, I spend part of the week at Logan Dental Associates, and then second, I spend the other part at Cherry Creek Dental in Richmond. Both locations are a full-service dental office and can take care of everyone in the family. Call or go online and make your appointment with the office that's most convenient for you. Logan Dental Associates in Logan or Cherry Creek Dental in Richmond.
UNI Furniture is stocked up with a wide variety of home furnishings. You've heard us talk before about UNI's chair department, Chair Heaven. A big variety there means there's a good chance they're going to have the chair you're looking for. UNI also is your mattress headquarters, featuring Therapeutic and Maloof. In fact, UNI is a full-line Maloof dealer with all kinds of mattresses, headboards, adjustable bases, and even pillows and sheets. Also, try out the new Therapeutic Synthesis, a hybrid mattress with an inner spring and copper-infused memory foam. UNI has a big inventory in stock. It's ready for pickup or delivery. There's always a better buy at UNI Furniture, downtown Logan.
It's time for Valley Recycling's annual Earth Day event. Bring your aluminum cans, old automobiles, copper, steel, and other metal scrap to Valley Recycling, 145 North, 10th West in Logan, April 20th through 23rd. Not only will you leave with the highest prices of the year, but Valley Recycling has partnered with a variety of local companies for great giveaways, as well as free food vouchers to Cafe Sabor and Firehouse Pizzeria. To schedule a drop-off appointment and for pricing and other information, visit valleymetalrecycling.com.
Thank you again to our guest this hour, Ally Isom, Republican candidate for United States Senate. That's our time for hour one of today's show, but stay tuned. Hour two coming up next with the For the People Book Club here on KVNU Logan.
610 AM and 102 FM.
Best part of my day.
News Talk KVNU, Logan. Proud to be locally owned and operated by the Cache Valley Media Group.